You are tuning into Torpid Casts, and today we're going to be watching Man of Faith, aka Tex, the legend himself, playing as Hive Tyrant, versus Cry, who's going to be the Chaos Lord. So a couple of big tanky boys going to bash heads on Sewell Frontier, and you can see straight away, look at this. The distance from each of the natural power farms on this map is rather small, even though the map itself is quite large. So it creates a lot of big army versus army fights in this kind of bowl area in the middle. Funny how the Hive Tyrant and Chaos Lord have just ignored one another. The Hive Tyrant would rip him to pieces in a duel right now. Chaos Lord does about 28 DPS power melee. This guy does 50 DPS by default. But he attacks super quick, so he's not very good against kiting units, because he's not actually able to distribute that 50 DPS when they kite him. So yeah, generally you don't brawl with the Hive Tyrant early on. And that's why the CSM are legging it, getting inside that garrison. So interestingly, only one heretic here for Cry. I guess, I don't know if he knew that he's going to be fighting a Hive Tyrant. I imagine he did, and so he wants an additional CSM, so he has that ranged damage to focus down the Hive Tyrant from a distance. Like I say, you really don't want to fight him in melee. I think you still can go two heretics for sure, but it can be tricky. Both the Bioplasma can then counter the Havoc that you inevitably will have to get if you don't have two CSM, and he might still get a Havoc anyway. But then he's also got the Charging Armour. It can open up Fast Raveners because he already has an advantage with going Fast Raveners compared to the other Tyrannid heroes, because he has basic Synapse coming off of himself, whereas the Ravener and Lictor don't get basic Synapse if they skip Warriors. So you can see it's a bit of a tricky matchup, definitely the hardest matchup for Chaos as far as Tyrannid heroes are concerned. Nice little Doom Blast there to slow down the Homers. It's a little bit dubious, but unfortunately the Hive Tyrant overextending here needed to get into melee with the CSM a lot sooner, and then the Hormiguts might have been able to do something if he procced a nice special or something like that. But a little bit slow with the reaction there from Tex. But you can see he's got good map control, but this is what we'd expect, right? Because he's gone for 3 units at the start, whereas Cry went for that double CSM, so he's very delayed in getting that 3rd unit out. Nothing has contested his Chaos Lord yet, though. And then don't forget as well, Chaos are not really renowned for their speed. All of their units in Tier 1 are Speed 5. So they're only average speed. Tyrannids, in contrast, are literally the fastest faction in the game, with Speed 6 Termagants, Speed 6.5 Raveners, and Hormagaunts. So yeah, they can be hard to compete with in the map control. So you've got to play super defensive, and this is why the camera has been basically panned here at the generator farm of Cry for the entire game. Indeed, we do see Havocs coming out. They're able to utilise the garrisons on this map as well, so that can be useful, and we see fast Raveners in contrast from Tex, which again makes sense. Not going to be able to get the wipe here. A bit optimistic really with the kill of the week. Getting focused down quite hard. Ooh, he burrows in, but he doesn't realise there's a Havoc behind. Surprise! Goodbye, Raveners. Yeah, they need to retreat. Now, the good thing with Cry's build is Raveners, they are a hybrid unit, and they've got that powerful burrow, and they're okay in melee, but they're not amazing compared to things like Raptors, ASM, Stormboys. But they've got those amazing Devourers, haven't they? Really good for focusing down the Chaos Lord or Heretics. Not so good for taking ranged firefights against CSM, so the fact that Cry has 2 of them, he'll be able to DPS down the Raveners from afar quite effectively. And if he can manage to bleed a few of those Ravener models, he might actually bleed the Tyrannids, which can be quite tricky to do normally. Raveners going for the wipe here on this CSM. Nothing protecting the Havoc, so they are going to get burrowed, and then the Hive Tyrant can tie up the other CSM. Raveners do need to force melee though. There you go. Chop them up. They should get this guy. Oh, he's probably going to die in 1 or 2 more hits, but they've stopped. Maybe worth stopping and shooting. Hopefully they get lucky. Nope. No models. And they're going to get into the safety of the garrison. Lock the door. They're only snakes. They can't come through the door. They're big snakes. Here's where the Raveners are beautiful. Look at that burst damage against the Hormagaunts. Pretty tasty, that. Unfortunately, Tex messing up with his micro a little bit there. He needed to kite and shoot the AC ticks a bit more. They're probably going to bleed some models off the Raveners, though the damage of the Hive Tyrant chopping in close range is nothing to be scoffed at. Contributing a lot here. Yeah, he got a Ravener, but he has lost a lot of heretics, and that's probably not worth it. That is a damn lot of heretics he lost. Literally all 8 of them. Wow. Second Ravener coming out for Tex. Wants to keep the pressure on. You've got to be careful with this garrison and this map. Very low amount of health on the actual building itself. So it is possible to spend a bit of time and actually just knock down the building with melee and kill the unit inside. You see it is taking some chip damage here. So you got to be careful. Honestly, I'd get these guys out of here if I was Cry. Oh, it's alright. No, he's flanking with the CSM on the other side of the cover. That'll get rid of the Raveners. And then there's no risk of melee and retreat. I want to keep them in play. Wow, he's actually on 3 models. I thought he only had 2. On 3 models with this tiny amount of HP, so he's got full DPS here coming out of both the CSM. They've got the plus, so they've got the Eternal War, which means 20% extra damage from normal. And you can see the effect of that, even with the extra 200 HP and 1 HP per second regen there from the extended carapace. These guys are putting the pain onto the Hive Tyrant. Good for them. Good for them. Nice to see double CSM doing something. Thing is, these are going to get exponentially better in tier 2 when they get the Mark of Tzeentch and get Inferno damage on their normal bolters and plasma guns on the aspiring champion. Plasma guns not going to be that impactful yet though. I mean, we've only got light infantry fielded by the Nids, ironically. Normally you do see those Venoms and Warriors, but not today. Not yet anyway. Might see Death Spitters in tier 2. There are 3 heavy infantry options here for Cry to fight. Well, to fight with. For Tex to fight. But yeah, big push here. Double Hormagaunts moving in. Going to get on the generators. Obviously supported by the double Ravs. Beautiful thing is the Ravs don't have to commit to melee. They can DPS from afar. God's sake. I've got Discord making noises. Yeah, this is tricky. We did have to burrow one of the Raveners in to deal with the Havocs. Can the Heretics get a model? Probably going to Doom Blast. Did they use the Doom Blast already? It's probably on cooldown, isn't it? Oh, there it is. They were trying to bait him into a kill the weak there. Got a lot of bleed. Please. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I'm always forgetting about bloody Discord. At least I went offline in this one. It's always fucking one thing or the other, isn't it? So, he did have to replace the gen, but he lost 3 gens there. That's quite a lot. How much bleed did Tex incur? I didn't notice if he's already lost a Ravener. I don't think he did, though. And I only lost a couple of Hormers, so yeah, that's great for great for Tex. But to be fair, Tex invested a lot more here, you see. He's only going tier 2 now. He got this very expensive 30 power extended carapace, 30 power spent on dual adrenal glands, 15 on toxin sacs, and then, what is it, 45 for the Raveners, or is it 40? Can't remember. It's a lot for dual Raveners. So he's spent the money here, and he's actually behind on VPs somehow. I guess because he kind of ignored this VP for most of tier 1. So we'll see. He's got more units to scale, but Gaunts... Oh, they don't scale that good, do they? Auto cannon coming out for the Havocs. And Bloodletters. Bloodletters makes sense. Need something to contend with the melee. And they can also tank the Ravener fire quite well as long as they're under worship. Hive Tyrant charging in to get rid of that Havoc, but they're gone anyway. I don't want to mess around with that, and here come the Bloodletters. So a lot of pressure on right now. Triple cap against Tex, but it's going to be... Yeah, Raveners are on the top and the middle, so they're going to neutralise a bit of that, but I don't know if they're going to cap the top. I'm going to go into melee with the CSM here. I think they'll win that. This is where the aspiring champions and the CSM will come in quite handy. Bloodletters getting some damage in, phase out. Easy for them. Corn Worship out of there to heal up. And yeah, CSM, autocannon and bloodletters are going to rip that Hive Tyrant to pieces. I wonder what Cry's going to do with his Chaos Lord now. Like the Galaxy Burn could be quite effective dealing with the Homers as they run into melee. If you hit that cleanly, you can literally force off both the Homers. Wow, the CSM beat the Raveners. What? Damn. Did they even get this round champion? No, they didn't. Wow. Maybe they just got lucky and all the CSM were punching the same Ravener and killed it early. And then with a DPS bleed on the Raveners, they'll lose the fight. So yeah, the other Raveners have rotated up to try and contend, and they're both kind of in a neutral state there. No one able to get the VP, but Cry's still putting the VP pressure on because he still has the bot and now the Chaos Lord. All the Chaos Lord has done is run around capping. But it's quite effective because a single Termagant can't deal with him. And the Hormagaunts can't deal with him. 2 Hormagaunts would deal with him, but it'd take bleed, and then you've lost your 2 Hormagaunts from the main fights. Likewise, you don't really want to move your Raveners off to deal with a Chaos Lord. Oh, here we go. Demonic Sacrifice, one of the heretics gone for 4 more bloodletters. So you've got 8 bloodletters here, all with those power melee Hellblades. You can see the damage that they're putting into the Tyrant Guard here. Quite a lot, but obviously Tyrant Guard can just go into shield wall to get vehicle armor and heal. But the nice thing there for Cry is he's managed to push it away and he's kept his autocannon in play without even losing the model. Mark of Tzeentch now purchased on the relevant CSM squad that's down here. But this one's in a little bit of trouble. It'll be alright. No force melee from the Raveners. So the Tyranids are going to claim the top, but they're losing their gen farm now down bottom. Hive Tyrant needs to be very careful. I think he's got the charge left so he can charge out, yeah. But they're not really able to kill any models here. You've got to focus fire the heretics. You can see the Raveners will one by one just pop those bad boys. That's when the CSM step forward and say, hey, do you want to trade with us in ranged? And the Raveners say, no, see you later. Retreat. So here comes Warriors. I think it might have been an idea to get Venom Brood, to be honest. Nah, but if you go Death Spitters, you don't get the ranged synapse anyway, so I don't know, whatever. He's going for melee warriors. Maybe he's going for Barb Strangler warriors. I don't know, that feels risky. You've got bloodletters, you can't suppress them. Barb Strangler feels kind of meh. When you can't suppress the enemy, it's not very good. Where's the heretics? They are coming up. Bloodletter's in desperate need of worship support here. They will lose a model if they don't get healed, and they've got no energy for any more phasing around. So they are going to need that heal. They're getting it. Keep channeling that warp energy for them. Cry is actually going straight to tier 3. Wow. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. He's compositionally, he's fine right now. He's winning these fights, and the most important thing is he's actually really far ahead when it comes to VPs as well. Look at the Mark of Tzeentch there. Dual Mark of Tzeentch absolutely melting the Raveners. Yeah, these guys can't commit. Even with the melee synapse buffing these warriors, buffing the Hormagaunts, I feel these warriors are going to melt. So yeah, the Hormagaunts have to run in first. But there's a risk that Bloodletters will get a good special. Decent kill the week. Knocking over quite a lot of the Hormagaunts there. One of them has to go. But the Hormagaunts and warriors are in melee with the CSM, so the CSM are routed. Can they take on the Bloodletters? There's no worship support, so maybe they can. I guess the CSM needed to split up a bit better there. Wow, this CSM nearly got wiped. Damn. Ooh, this is a bit of a precarious situation for the heretics. They're probably going down. Tyrant Guard needs to turn around and hit the aspirant champion. Oh, he retreats out. I feel like he could have got that then. This garrison has been an absolute pain in the arse for Tex. Garrison's such a big problem for Tyranids. But he could build a capillary tower and start getting some spore mines out. I think spawn mines do decent damage to the actual building as well. Over time, you could destroy the building and stop him from being able to use it. So yeah, Tyrant Guard not really enjoying being sliced up there. Wow, Chaos Lord has now got the Lightning Claws. This is a bit odd from Cry. Goes tier 3 and then purchases Lightning Claws and Icon of Corn. I mean, don't get me wrong. This guy's going to be amazing in melee combat right now, but it feels like you could have got that a bit later after a tank. Given that you're tier 3. Anyway, yep, that's a dead Tyrant Guard. Autocannon will punch through the vehicle armor when it's in shield wall, and then it's just going to get wrecked by the Inferno bolters and all the power melee when it gets out of shield wall. I don't... You know, people are always obsessed with killing a Tyrant Guard as soon as possible when it goes in shield wall, and I'm not entirely sure why. Oh, beautiful destructive strike there from the CL Lightning Claws. It's basically like Merciless Strike on the ASM, a sweeping line of attacks that will knock over the enemy and do AoE damage, and you've seen the amount of spike damage there to the Homers. They got absolutely smashed by that thing. Tex's economy not looking great. He's not been able to replace his generators. Probably needs to do that, to be honest. 300 requisition in the bank. Cry, if he went for a Predator now, I'd be laughing. Tex has struggled to even get a Venom Brood out, and then all you have to do is throw your Chaos Lord on the Venom Brood or the Bloodletters. They can't shoot, and your Predator's going to be bleeding everything else like mad. Especially a Corn Predator. The Battle Cannon will kill the Gaunts. The buffed Bolters will melt the Raveners. And then you've got extra speed as well to try and contend with from Tex's perspective. Very difficult. I wonder what the plan is. Hang on. Yeah, he hasn't got the resources yet. Once again taking the garrison. He's actually lost the CSM there to the Raveners. Wow. So that's gonna... He's got the resources for a Predator now, I think. No, is it 450? Yeah, now he's pushed back again, getting another CSM. What a pain. Havoc's probably want to refocus fire onto the Hormagaunts. Remember, they do splash damage. So all these Hormagaunts put together will be quite helpful to hit with the auto cannon. The Hive Tyrant charges in. Knocks over even the Chaos Lord. Wow, and he gets right on the Havocs there. Beautifully done. And then these CSM need to get the hell out of here. They're getting devoured by double Homers. Another attempted destructive strike, was that? Or was that a kill the week? One or the other. It was a destructive strike, and now the Chaos Lord's in a bit of trouble in retreat. With the Hive Tyrant there, they might get him, you know. Wow, very close. If the Hive Tyrant got another swing in, he would have had him. Damn. And the Predator comes out. Cry really should have not reinforced those prior CSM and got this Predator out ages ago. As I say, obviously you should have not got the Lightning Claws and the Icon of Corn either as soon as he hit tier 3. You should have got the Predator first and then gone for those upgrades. They're good upgrades in this instance, but you need that Predator. There's no AV on the field in terms of ranged AV. Obviously, you've got Crushing Claws, heavy melee, Tyrant Guard, heavy melee, Adrenal Gland Warrior, heavy melee. So you wouldn't go for a Walker, because the Tyranids could literally pull that thing to pieces in melee. Yeah, well, I mean, a Corn Dreadnought would still be difficult to deal with, especially when there's Inferno Bolters, but still, they could do it. In theory, how they're going to catch a tank. Now, you do get reduced speed if you go for the Mark of Nurgle, so something like the Hive Tyrant, when he charges, could get onto the Nurgle tank, but the Nurgle tank has so much HP, and it regenerates, and most importantly, it gets 40% melee resist. So even when you are meleeing it, it's not going to be too brutal. This is a bit of a bad engagement to take the Nurgle Predator on. These autocannon shells have that poisonous damage over time afterwards. And then the bolters do damage over time as well. Very, very scary for blobs of Tyranids. 2 of the Raveners go down, and it's another 3 bled Hormagaunt models. And I don't know what these Hormagaunts are trying to achieve here, attacking the Nurgle Predator. You can see it's literally out-healing their damage. They're only normal melee. And they are bleeding like crazy. They're going to get wiped. Tex obviously forgot about them. Tyrant Guard right now dueling with a Chaos Lord. He is healing with his Icon of Corn. Looks like he's losing the duel pretty hard, actually. I think the Tyrant Guard is in Synapse from the Hive Tyrant, so it's got the 20% damage resistance. But you know what? Cry doesn't mind too much because he was baiting him, wanted him to commit to the fight. He knew Mark of Tzeentch, Chaos Space Marines were en route, and the Battle Cannon, of course, from the Predator will do anti-vehicle damage. So that does mitigate the shield wall to some extent. But you want to turn around and focus the Hive Tyrant. Don't just let him stand there and chop you up. Another CSM goes down. This is the one downside to the CSM, man. Their bleed is so bad. Like, it's really painful. One of the Plague Bolters wasn't firing that entire time there. A bit of a mistake there from Cry. And yeah, Bloodletter's kind of fallen off right now. They're not in worship range there, and they're obviously heavily outnumbered. I suppose they're good on the sidelines. Bloodletters plus Heretics can take on 2 units quite effectively. Not sure why the Heretics recommitted there. I guess they were buying time for the Mark of Zinch CSM not to get knocked over. Let the Galaxy Burn now comes out for the Chaos Lord. Yeah, Cry's been using this build a bit more often recently. I'm not sure about the Let the Galaxy Burn there at that point. To get the armor, I mean. It feels a bit late for that now. Probably would have just gone with the Mantle of Hate. Tried to pop some of those Warriors of the Drain Life. Even the Raveners, if you catch them, it's pretty good. Oh, you just immobilise the Hive Tyrant as well. But yeah, Tex has nothing really to deal with this Predator. You can just chase it around. The Battle Cannon obviously mainly relies on that sort of splash damage, so you can see it's not tremendously effective here against the Hive Tyrant himself or Tyrant Guards. But the problem is they can't catch the damn thing. And even if they do, they're only going to do little bits of poke to it, and it's going to out-heal. Well, it's not going to out-heal, but it will heal the damage off quite effectively. And this is the problem with melee. You've got to push really deep, and yeah, he's getting punished for it. Oh my god, look at the Mark of Zinch. This is what I wanted to see. Tyrant Guard no longer has range resist, and fuck me. It gets absolutely melted in melee. These guys didn't even have their plasma. Okay, they did have the plasma guns, thank fuck. Yeah, they got... Wow. They absolutely ripped that thing to pieces. Yikes. Yeah, Tex stuck in tier 2 at that point. Also, got smashed down here. Bloodletters and the Heretics taking on the Warriors quite effectively. Yeah, tricky to see where that went wrong for Tex, really. It just all fell apart in tier 2, it seemed. I guess the tier 1 was too heavy. Probably didn't need the second Ravener Brood squad. He got the bash, but he was still so far behind in tech and also behind on map, so it clearly didn't work, did it? If you're behind in tech and you're behind on map control when you've gone for a heavier tier 1, then your heavier tier 1 hasn't worked at all. This garrison was a huge problem for him. Whether or not it would have been worth building some Spore Mines in tier 1 to deal with this garrison, I'm not sure. Maybe you could have built some Spore Mines after the first Ravener and done a big timing push and got the full bash, and that could have set him up for a much better situation where he was ahead in tech rather than his opponents. But certainly by the time you got to tier 2 and he had his roster and he kept bleeding, and then the enemy got to tier 3 and he was still stuck in tier 2 without being able to replace his gen farm, at that point Tex is basically screwed. Cry basically allowed him to get a lot of time here to try and make a bit of a comeback by going for these upgrades prior to getting the tank when he should have got the tank straight away. And yeah, Nurgle Predator was perfectly effective. Khorne or Nurgle would have been good here. But I don't know, yeah, Nurgle were great. So there you go, folks. That's going to be all from your boy Torpid this time. I am signing out. Peace.